The older I get, the more I see the pattern clearly, which is some stuff I learned in my Christian school that and I think that many great thinkers from history have tried to tell us, is that we live in such a world where there truly is a battle occurring underneath all our noses. The battle is good versus evil. And figuring out which is good and which is evil is our task. How do you figure out what's the side of love that should win and what's the side of fear that should lose, and hatred and division? And that's really something you got to feel your way through. That's something that comes with wisdom. That's something that comes from learning, is this ability to see that's right, and that's not right. And it's that's not right that really needs attention, that needs fixing in our world. There is a battle of good versus evil, times a billion to the power of infinity. There are forces in our world that are destructive, harmful, unloving, unkind, selfish, greedy. And there are forces in our world that are uplifting, loving, kind, generous, empowering. And those are the ones we want to go towards, the side of love, the side of good. And we have these decisions to make every day in our lives. They pop up, these little options, these little scenarios. Will you pick love? Will you pick fear? Happens all the time. By the way, let me show you a beautiful place I am right now. This is Santorini, Greece at a sunrise. Although the sun hasn't quite come up all the way. There's a little church right there. Private church, I think. Oh God, it's beautiful here. The earth has so much cool stuff too. Like, we could literally make a heaven on earth here on our planet if we all just were more loving and kind and considerate and not so selfish. But as long as we keep hanging on to me, my team, my in-group, we're better, you're bad, as long as we keep otherizing and hating difference, well, we're different. We're going to be different. There's billions of us. There's almost 200 countries on this planet. We're going to be different. There's so many cultures. We're going to be different. And that's just how it's going to be. Actually, it's so stupid too, because it's our diversity that truly makes us better, that makes us more capable, more enriched, more interesting. Just the wide variety of diversity in the human species is what makes our species more evolved and more robust and more capable. But somehow or another, we humans have decided to think less of people who aren't in our particular in-groups. Males versus females, your country versus the other countries, your race versus the other races, your profession versus the other professions. Like, humans have this tendency to just feel like, well, whatever is my in-group is superior, is the best one, is the one I'm going to have allegiance to. But we don't need to have allegiance to things we didn't pick or that aren't who we really are, do we? That would be dumb. Why would you be allegiant to something like so much, especially that you inherited? Like, I didn't pick being female or Caucasian or North American or born in 1981, but sure enough, a lot of people will take those kinds of elements of their personhood and that's who they are, and they didn't get to pick any of it. So you're something that's not even you. Really strange. Anyway, the point of this video was just to say that, in my view, good versus evil, that battle is still alive and well. And it shows up in insidious ways you don't expect. It shows up in real life. It shows up in our politics. It shows up in our work. It shows up in the choices we make. And will you pick the side of love, or will you pick the side of fear? Good versus evil. I'm not a religious person, just so you know. I was raised in Christian school, so I learned a lot about what Jesus said, what the Bible said. And Jesus was way ahead of his time. He really was. Hi, good morning.
How are you?
Good.
Yeah.
Check it out. He was over there cleaning the pool, in the pool area. Anyway, I need to wrap this up, and please forgive me. This is like how I rolled out of bed. I threw a sweatshirt on. I got my pajama pants on at the moment, which is my favorite way to dress, by the way, comfy. So yeah, I just want to let you all ponder on that for a moment. Can you see how there are forces for bad, for selfish, for division, for otherizing, for in-grouping and out-grouping, for I'm superior, you're less than, like that there is a force for inequality, I guess you could say. And there is a force for the betterment of all, the freedom of all, the emancipation of all. And granted, let me talk on equality for a minute too, because we're a diverse species, so we're never going to be exactly the same, and we shouldn't be. In fact, it's our uniqueness that makes us special. But every human life does have inherent value, just the same as the others. Now, some people's choices, some people's circumstances lead them to cause harm. And that is a lesser choice. Like when you harm other people, you've taken a path and a choice that is less than. Even though you as a person still have inherent worth and value, right? Like every person has inherent value. And when we dehumanize someone who's fucked up, then we dehumanize ourselves. We need to pick the high road. We need to pick love. We need to pick kindness. We need to pick forgiveness like Jesus taught us. So if you want to maintain your own quality of your personhood, pick the high road. Pick the path of love. So my point is, it's a paradox. Yes, we're all worth inherently the same value. A human life is a human life is a human life. And at the same time, some choices are going to be evil and some choices are going to be good. And those choices are not the same. And our choices do create us in some ways. Like we become the result of our choices. We become the result of where we have free will. What do we pick? I know there's a lot of people out there nowadays who we have no free will. We're just fully programmed. There are some people out there who think genetics, education, media indoctrination, culture, peer pressure, like everything makes us. And we become the product of environmental factors we didn't even get to pick, and so we're not free. And I think that that's mostly true. But for me, polymathy is the path to free will, because polymathy is when you become a unique hodgepodge, zigzag combination that is off script, that is not expected, and you get to pick those things with your free will. You get to pick what you learn through your self-directed lifelong life-wide learning. And so if you want to express the little part of you that can be free, the way you do it is you become an original. You become your authentic self. You don't become the programmed version. Polymathy is the expression of our free will. Polymathy is also evidence of our evolution as a species, because evolution, check it out, the book called Phenomenon of Man. 2 facets you see in any species that's evolving. The individual members of that species become more individuated, more unique, expressing their onlyness. They become more diverse. And that's what polymathy allows you to do, to become more individuated, less like members of the herd. And in the evolutionary process, you see increased cooperation amongst those differentiated parts. And that's exactly what I heard from polymaths I interviewed for my doctoral dissertation, was that because they've got so many tools in their toolkit, they can always find a way to connect with nearly anybody. They're not a one-trick pony. They're not stuck in like one or two in-groups. Like, they're part of so many in-groups that they could always find a way to connect. And this makes the interdependency of humanity more enriched when there are more interconnections. So polymathy is the way to increased cooperation as a highly individuated part. That's what polymathy accomplishes for our species. It helps us evolve collectively and individually. Because don't forget, the more you learn and grow and change, you evolve, and you get to try on versions of the human experience and see which ones fit you the best. You know, which versions of being you feels most correct and accurate and enjoyable for now. And you're not stuck. You can change it. We should evolve. Like, there should be parts of our personhood which remain the same probably throughout the whole lifespan. There's going to be some element of you that's your core that doesn't change. But how that shows up in like your beliefs or your thoughts or the job you do or the friends you have or the way you dress or like all the little ways that like personhood can show up and identity can be formed, that stuff should change. If it doesn't, it means you're stuck and you're not learning. Your brain will start to atrophy. If you don't use it, you lose it, people. Keep using your brain, keep learning so you don't lose the ability to learn. Wouldn't that be so sad? My grandfather got Alzheimer's and he lost the ability to learn. He lost the ability to even remember. And it's like his whole life was taken from him, even though he still had a body. It was so sad and so bizarre. Although in his case, some of his true essence came out, which was fun to see. Check out the sunrise. It's coming up. And by the way, just a friendly PSA, public service announcement reminder. We're floating in a relatively tiny little rock in a vast expanse of outer space. There's a whole lot of mystery out there we don't understand and maybe never will. There's a whole lot of inhospitable reality, and we're on this one tiny little grain of sand called Earth. We're on this island stuck together. So it would be smart if we could figure out how to get along, because we're stuck here together. I mean, it's pretty big, like, but not really. You can get anywhere in a day or two. What they do in China impacts the air quality where you live. What's happening with global warming over there impacts your weather where you are. The way that the society around you has made your food system, your educational system, your criminal justice system. Like, we interact and influence and affect one another on a small island in the vast expanse of never-ending space. So I really would like to propose, Team Human, that we try to get along. And if we can't get along with one another, that we simply separate. The whole warring thing and killing each other because we can't disagree, or we can't figure out a way to share our resources. Like, it's 2024. Oh, and by the way, why do we still have atomic weapons on Earth? Why could like one or two people wipe out millions or billions of us? That should not be happening. We got some things to figure out, humanity. We got some things to figure out. I'm in Greece right now, in Santorini. In a couple days, I'm going over to Corfu, where I'm hosting an international retreat. And we're going to talk about these issues. Like, what would a strategic plan for humanity at a global scale look like? Where we stop thinking about my nation, my 0.5% of the nations on Earth, and now mine should be right. And like, what if we just stepped back from like the nation concept and the dysfunctional government approach, and we just thought about what would an actual plan to help all humans thrive, like to help reduce suffering of people who I don't know on the other side of the world. Like, what would that look like? How could we use the resources we have to take care of all humans? Because I can tell you, I mean, my needs are taken care of. But when I see people suffering, living unhoused, not enough food to eat, mental health challenges. Like when I see humans suffering, I suffer. I don't want to live in a world where I'm cool and like other people can be messed up and I don't care. I do care. I do care that our system should work for all of us. You know how many children are suffering? They're just born into this world and their needs just automatically aren't met. They're not given an opportunity to thrive. Oh my God, check out the sunrise, by the way. It's so beautiful right now, isn't it? We could make a heaven on earth here. We could. We just got to figure it out. We got to use the power of intelligence, understanding, learning our way to those solutions, and benevolence, kindness, the path of good, the path of love. Like that's how we co-create. Because I can't do it alone and neither can you. We got to co-create a better planet, a better reality for us humans. And right about now, the systems are really crumbling. Like we're beginning to see like, oh, the economic system we have, oh, the healthcare systems we have, oh, the educational systems we have, oh, the media we have. Like so many of the things we've created aren't serving us humans. We need a better way. And it's through the power of learning and intelligence, learning from people you disagree with. Hear the whole picture, take it in, integrate the parts that make sense, find the ones that don't, take the high road, choose the path of love. Yeah, that's what will make our world better. And I know there've got to be other people who are trying to organize this effort. I'm doing my little part. Check out the sunrise again with the little glow on the water. Oh, God. To me, Santorini is one of the most jaw-dropping places on Earth. By the way, I've really gone out of my way to see planet Earth, just so you know. I have been to, I think it's 43 countries now on 6 continents. I have invested my time, my energy, my money to go see humanity. Like go look at the countries, go meet the people, go into their worlds and see what's going on. And one of the things I want to emphasize, one of the big takeaways, which should be obvious, but maybe it isn't. So this is just another public service announcement, friendly reminder, is that a lot of people assume that their world and their reality is how it is for everyone. And there are so many different worlds in our one world. There is so much diversity and difference. And so just because you're cool, you shouldn't assume that other people are doing okay. Or just because you're suffering, you shouldn't assume they're suffering everywhere. There is such a hodgepodge of the human condition here on planet Earth, on our little island of sand in the vast beach of outer space. Don't assume everyone thinks like you. Don't assume your way of thinking is the best. Don't assume that if you're suffering, the whole world is suffering. Like, go see, go learn. The internet makes talking to people from other countries so easy. I got relatives who don't even speak English, and I just use an app to translate, and we talk. Like, go learn broadly, go learn new things. Listen to people you don't agree with. Learn about cultures and ways of thinking that might enhance yours. I love coming to Greece because there is so much wisdom. Greece, the ancient Greeks were so far ahead of their time. I mean, Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, the beginning of the love of wisdom, of philosophy, that started here. The pyramids aren't even that far. Like the ancientness of this place. The Greeks invented democracy, the marathon, the Olympics, and they invented the word polymath thousands of years ago. Many learnings. That's the path to self-actualization. That's the path to a good life. That's the path to understanding. Polymathy. There's a word for it, people. And it's ancient. That word is precise and ancient, and it has meaning, and it has significance, and the ancient Greeks came up with it. So, anyway, hello from Greece. Hello from this Greece sunrise moment. And I hope some of my blabbering was interesting. Bottom line I wanted to tell you is remember there is a force for good and there is a force for evil, and I hope you pick the path of good. All right, bye guys.